Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and what you're about to see is a classic episode of Cinemageddon Reviews from its heyday on Facebook. Before the glitz and glamour of YouTube, we did all of our reviews either by writing them in a Word document and then posting it, or by doing crappy vlogs where the majority of the time, because we were running on LTE, the Wi-Fi would keep screwing up, so we ended up having to wait for things to reconnect in order for the video to continue. So, this is actually not the case. This was a video that I personally edited. In fact, I dare say this is probably my very first video that I ever edited. And even though it can still be very rough around the edges, I'm very proud of this video, not necessarily for the quality of the video itself, but because of the sentimental value that it has. It is a video that I did personally as a present for my girlfriend on her birthday. Problem is, I couldn't release it in time because Facebook decided to be Facebook and I couldn't release it on time like I wanted to. It ended up getting uploaded a day later. Not gonna happen this time. So, enjoy the quirkiness, and when I say quirky, I mean cringiness of my acting back in 2019, my completely controversial opinions towards certain shows and certain topics, and hopefully you don't judge me based on how I was, but rather by how I am now. Enjoy, guys. And Erica, if you're watching this, happy birthday, honey. I love you. Oh, fuck, they somehow managed to make an even worse version of the Dark Phoenix storyline. Sebastian? Are you okay? Yeah, I guess. Alright. Why are you so down? Because now I have to review Steven Universe. And that's bad. Right? What the hell do you mean? Of course that's bad. Just don't know if I can do this. I don't know what happened last time. What the hell are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You were there back in my Instagram days. Oh, you are homophobic because you don't ship this shit that we ship. Even though these characters were never supposed to be gay in the first place. Even though I'm bisexual, and therefore I can tell you right off the bat if they were supposed to be gay, that wouldn't be the problem. But the fact that they aren't is exactly what I'm trying to complain about. Oh my fucking god, are we really going through this bullshit again? God damn it, not this. Look, I know this may not seem like a big deal to you or anyone else, but to me it meant a lot. I just don't know if I can go through all that bullshit all over again, not after what happened. It's the Adventure Time thing all over again, isn't it? Oh, look, Sebastian, the whole thing with Adventure Time was a mistake. I'll agree to that, alright? Look, it was a mistake. Maybe the Legend of Korra thing too, although the comic kinda confirms it in a much better way. And, okay, Ruby's kind of in a gray area there, but why does any of this shit have to do with Steven Universe? I don't know. Look, this isn't the same thing, I know but it's still a byproduct of that same trauma. It may not be Adventure Time, it may not be Legend of Korra, it may not even be Ruby, but there's something in my stomach that just won't let me touch it. I don't know what it is, but there's something in there that won't let me talk about it without this awful feeling of discomfort that I get. Just mentioning the name Steven Universe just makes me fucking sick to my stomach, and I don't know if I could do this. Alright, well, fine. You know what? Fine. If Steven Universe, even though it did absolutely nothing to discomfort you like all those other shows apparently did, why the hell are you even talking about it if it makes you feel so uncomfortable? It's because I made a promise to someone I love, and if I don't go along with it, what the hell is that going to say about me? That you're a complete and utter coward who does not know how to let go of the past? Well, now I don't know. I really don't. I want to do the best that I can, but I just don't know if I can touch this DVD. I don't know if I can talk about Adventure. See? That right there. That right there. Unbelievable. Sebastian. Adventure Time, this is not. Legend of Korra, this is not. Ruby, as awful as it may be now, it is not as well. I don't know what your big deal is with it, Steven Universe or whatever the hell kind of cartoons that they're showing now on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or whatnot, but this is not Adventure Time. And even if it was, all of that shit has already gone its course. It's over. You can't let this shit get to you. When are you gonna realize that the past is in the past? You can't let that shape your future. If you do, you're never gonna evolve from the past to... Look, all I'm trying to say is this. Whether or not you can get past your discomfort is one thing. Until you accept the fact that this is not the same thing as those other shows, you are never going to be able to be the critic that you want to be, or even the person that you want to be. If you want to make this video for that person that you care about, then you need to let go of the past. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to talk about Steven Universe, or anything else for that matter. You're right. This is not Adventure Time. This is not Legend of Korra. And this is not fucking Ruby. You know what? It'll be tough. I'm not gonna lie. This will be the toughest thing I've ever had to do. But I guess I'll have to take your advice there. The past is in the past. I can't let that shape my future. Let go of the past. That's no longer the case. I'm turning back now. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and this is Steven Universe Season 1. God help me.
We are the crystal gems. We'll always save the day. And if you think we can, we'll always find a way. That's why the people of this world believe in garnet, amethyst, and pearl, and Steven!
Okay. Wow. Has it really been 3 days? Alright. Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and where the hell did this chair come from? Okay. Now, over these past few days, I've been under, shall we say, a sort of conundrum. I was tasked to finally tackle the critically acclaimed, highly beloved cartoon series Steven Universe and talk about it here on Cinemageddon Reviews as a request as a birthday present. Of course, well, it wasn't really a request. I personally said that I would do it, but I kind of wrote myself into a bit of a corner here. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Alright, so, before I talk about Steven Universe, I have one important thing that I need to address. I've been neglecting to talk about Steven Universe, or even really watching Steven Universe, for the longest of goddamn times. A lot of that has to do with a very, and let's call it what it really is, personal discomfort that I have, not towards the show itself, but to the staff and its creator. Now, before anyone gets any ideas, I have absolutely zero disrespect for Rebecca Sugar. I think she is a fantastic writer, a wonderful director, and a very, very beautiful singer, and an equally better songwriter. I have nothing bad to say about her. I think she is wonderful, a great human being. This issue has to do, however, with the person that she worked with, Pendleton Ward. More specifically, with his series, Adventure Time. Now, I grew up with Adventure Time, like I'm sure a lot of you did back in 2009 when it first came out. Was it 2009? Jesus, time goes by so fast that you don't even remember anymore. I didn't actually become a fan of it at first. I only saw it when it started airing, like season 2 or 3. I was in college. I only started watching it because I was coming out of college very early in the morning. It was like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I'm not even sure. I would go home at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would fall asleep for about 2 or 3 hours, sometimes even more. And sometimes I would even wake up and there's an episode of Adventure Time playing on Cartoon Network. I slowly started to get into it, and I really, really got into the series to the point where it kind of became something of a cultural icon for me personally. Like, this series, it meant the world to me. Specifically, some characters in it, and one of those characters was Marceline the Vampire Queen. She was a character that honestly spoke to me personally, someone that I truly felt a huge connection towards. I really loved this character. I really liked everything about her. She was a wonderful, wonderful character, beautifully voiced by Olivia Olsen, and her chemistry with Jeremy Shada's Finn was just amazing. I watched every episode, and then there was the episode What Was Missing, where it implied that her and Princess Bubblegum had some kind of past lesbian relationship. And this is where the trouble finally started to brew. Brew, who cares? I don't want to keep this video where it doesn't really need to be discussed, but long story short, I was the subject of much heated controversy in my old days as an Instagram star, in quotations. I had a lot of disagreements with a lot of people who really wanted to see Princess Bubblegum and Marceline become a thing, even though they weren't lesbians at all, and I'm bisexual, so I can tell you right off the bat that this was formulated in between the show. It did not come naturally. This just came out of nowhere. It was like Legend of Korra, but surprisingly not as bad. Actually, who am I kidding? It was actually worse, because Legend of Korra was actually a byproduct of that. But my point is, I came to a lot of disagreements there, and after I came out as bisexual, what really, really set it off for me was when somebody actually accused me of being homophobic for not shipping them. Even though in that very same post, I specifically pointed out that I was bisexual, and I wanted people to know that going in before I started ranting about it. I got a lot of heat. I ended up getting a lot of bad threats. I don't even want to... I said bad. I didn't say dead. Don't get any ideas. I'm not exactly anybody working at EA or Bethesda. But I got a lot of people pissed off. And personally, I don't think I was in the wrong there. I think those people really, really stepped out of line in the worst way possible. And even though I wasn't disrespecting anybody, I was trying to be obvious and sincere about this. If they were meant to be what they are, which by the end of the series, that's exactly what they became, fuck you for that, by the way, then I don't have a problem there. But that's exactly it. It was forced in there. They were using the whole background of, we're being representative of the LGBT community. No, you fucking weren't. No, you fucking weren't. And I know that you weren't, because if you really were supposed to be representative, then you would have made them a lesbian couple from the fucking get-go, instead of forcing it in at the last minute in one of your episodes. And by the way, what the hell was the point of that scene where she's snipping her shirt? What is that supposed to tell us? See, they didn't bother to even try. And as it went by, this kind of thing became sort of a cottage industry for animated studios nowadays. Every time there's a big show, something that gets very popular with a lot of fans, it's bound to have that same sort of problem come in. It happened with Legend of Korra at the end, with Korra and Asami becoming a couple, which, to its credit, has been expanded upon in the comics, so it actually gets some bit of a pass, but not entirely. And a lot of shows are kind of teasing it as well, not even really going along with it. Sound Euphonium is one of them. And one of the worst examples has to be fucking Ruby, where it just abandoned all hope of even trying to be in any way, shape, or form relative to its story. It stopped focusing on its characters, it stopped focusing on the plot, and instead it started focusing on how can we get our audience to ship these characters even more. That's not even getting into all the other issues with the inconsistencies with the plot, the terrible animation, the fact that they killed off Adam when he had so much potential. But all of this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. So why am I bringing it up? Because that same discomfort has affected my viewing experience for a lot of shows. Now you're thinking, this shouldn't affect me at all. And as someone who's almost 25 years old, I should agree with that. But that's the thing. That kind of abuse stays with you mentally forever. And after all these years, I don't know if I've ever really gotten over all that trauma. And personally, I don't think I ever want to get over it because it's just a good reminder of the things that I'm fighting for. I want good LGBTQ representation. I want good writing. I want to see gay characters by people who want to make gay characters. I don't want to see people waving the fucking gay flag and saying we represent the community on the fucking month of Pride. Yeah, I'm calling you out, studios and places that do that. You only respect the LGBT community or call yourselves representative of in one particular month. In 1 month, you do so. After that, you take away the flag and you go around your merry ways. Don't think I haven't noticed. So, in the spirit of Pride Month, ironically enough, that's what we're in, I wanted to talk about Steven Universe. Originally, I wanted to talk about Revolutionary Girl Utena, one of the greatest anime of all time and one of the cornerstones of LGBTQ representation in Japanese anime. But the damn thing is too expensive. So instead, I decided to opt out and bite the bullet and talk about Steven Universe. I gotta say, it was a lot more difficult to swallow my pride and watch this show and put away any discomfort. And I'm fucking glad that I did. I love this series. I gotta be very honest when I say this. Steven Universe may not be the best show for some people, but I gotta ask you, what's it like to be wrong all the time? Do you wake up at night? Do you get a cold sweat? Because I gotta be very honest, I fucking hate myself for not giving the show the chance that I should have given it back when I was watching it all these years ago. I had no way of watching it legally, so apologies in advance. I had to pirate it with the help of somebody else. You know who you are. But, yeah, watching it now, I really fucking love Steven Universe. The first season is just so beautifully animated, so wonderfully voice acted, so wonderfully written too. It's like, this is some of the best writing I've ever seen for a cartoon since fucking hell anything, actually. And I'm talking about specifically to Western TV. I mean, I'm gonna be very honest when I say this. Adventure Time can go fuck itself. Legend of Korra can go fuck itself. Steven Universe, it sits up there on the fucking pedestal, right below where Space Battleship Yamato 2199 belongs to. Sorry guys, I'm still an anime guy, no matter what. But, all that out of the way, I really do love Steven Universe. So let me talk about it, because I got a lot of shit to talk about. So what's the plot, really? Good fucking question, because even I don't know what the plot might be. So, running about what I assume it's supposed to be, because it's kind of a big clusterfuck that you're supposed to just go along with. The series revolves around a 10-year-old boy. I think he might be 10. Do not quote me. I do not know their ages, so I really don't give a shit. Fuck me in that regard. I don't really care. It revolves around a boy named Steven and his parent. I don't even know how to call them. He lives inside of a coast near a city around the beach alongside 3, let's call them gems, named Pearl, Amethyst, and Garnet. Each one of them is called a crystal gem, and they are the defenders of the earth, so to speak. They go around on many adventures, fighting other gems just like them, saving them from their corrupt state, and, well, hijinks ensue. Honestly, I want to talk more about it, but to do so would really just go into the biggest spoiler territory, and like my friends before me, they didn't want to spoil anything about the show as well, and I'm not going to do that as well either. I will say this, though, they definitely got me interested, despite the fact that the show is 90% filler and 10% heartbreak. I felt such a big tidal wave of emotions watching this show. In a way that I hate to bring up this example, but in a way that only Adventure Time, Once Upon a Time, managed to do. It was that feeling of waking up after a hard day of work and then seeing one of my favorite shows on television, and then getting that overwhelming sense of relief and joy and comfort. I know it's weird, but that's what I'm getting for Steven Universe. It's just such a wonderful little show where you can sit back and relax and you feel all of your trouble just disappearing. It's like playing Stardew Valley. You watch it or you play it and you instantly forget your troubles. Steven Universe manages to be emotional, it manages to be funny, it manages to, surprisingly enough, be pretty goddamn dark. And most importantly, it also manages to be very, very respectful with the themes that it's trying to project. There's a lot of things that Steven Universe does that other shows just do not even want to get near. It tackles a lot of different subjects. One recurring theme happens to be the loss of Steven's mother, Rose, who we do not know how she died, at least not in this season. But we know that Steven, despite the fact that he lost his mom before he could even have a chance to know her, he still has a very optimistic and bright attitude. He's very wide-eyed and very laughy. I like this character so much. He's very obnoxious, but in a good way. Not like in fucking My Neighbor Totoro with these little girls running around screaming, making me want to fucking just sew their mouth shut like a human centipede. I see this kid running around and screaming and making noises, and I want to join him because he's just so infectious in his attitude. He's such a fun character to look at and such a fun character to follow. And every adventure that he goes by, the crystal gems themselves, they're pretty cool in and of their own. Each one of them has their own unique personality, but it's Steven that brings them all together as one big happy family. Ironically enough, though, his dad is a fucking bum living in a van. Down by the river. Soren, would it be possible for you to be able to edit that clip in?
I am 35 years old. I am divorced. And I live in a van down by the river.
Thank you. Anyways, I gotta say, I didn't expect much coming into this show, but it just put a very happy smile on my face when I saw it. I saw the first episode, and it's just him trying to find a way to have this really delicious ice cream sandwich that he likes. Cookie Cat, it's called. And him trying to find a way to eat it once again, and then he finds out that he has a whole bunch of it in his fridge because they bought them all for him. And from there on, it goes to weird little adventures inside of different universes where they find other gems just like them. They find others that manage to come into their world and are every day is a struggle to save the world because every day something happens and they need to stop it. Or it's just an episode where he's just trying to talk to the girl that he really likes. And then it'll just be him trying to teach his friend that it's okay to not follow the clique and it's okay to just be yourself. The show has a lot of good morals and a lot of good themes, and it knows how to say them and how to present them without getting in your face about it. I don't know how many shows really honestly want to tell you a message without shoehorning some kind of forced conflict to do so. And believe me, Steven Universe has a lot of conflict, but it never feels like it has to stop the plot dead in its track to explain what that conflict is. It knows how to say it, and it knows how to let the plot speak for itself. I don't think there's ever been a series that managed to make me learn so much from these characters that don't even exist, except for maybe those I've seen from anime. I also have to say, I've heard some things about this series. How it's basically the ambassador for the LGBT community for children. How it's such a great representation for LGBTQ youth culture, but I want to talk about that separately. I'll talk about that in a bit. I want to talk about the other characters. I want to talk about Garnet. slightly. I don't want to give too much away because she has the coolest reveal at the end of the series, and I'm not even going to talk about that in this video. I'll probably make a separate video of it in the future with the guys because I know they want to talk about it too. But Garnet is basically the team mom of the group. She's the 003 of the group, the one that's always taking charge when Pearl is too neurotic to do anything properly. She always knows what to do, but not always. Sometimes she'll have to resort to desperation because she really doesn't know how to handle the situation properly, like any normal mother would in that situation. But she also has fists that she can magically manifest from her hands, and that's fucking awesome. Although I gotta say, it must be really painful to get fisted by her. But she's also really cool, very chill, and there's nothing funnier than simply watching her rolling out of a fucking van because she can't stand heavy metal, and then chilling out like a fucking diva on top of the van while listening to jazz. That is the coolest visual this show has ever had, and this show has a lot of cool visuals already. I don't want to talk about the reveal for her because honestly, the fact that they did this and the fact that they showed this on television for children is such a wonderfully ballsy thing that I don't even think talking about it here will give it the justice that it deserves. There is one thing that we'll be talking, but I'll be getting to that very soon. Then we have Amethyst. She is the youngest of the gems. She's very loud, loves to party, loves to play games, loves to fool around, and basically be a menace to society, sometimes to the point where it nearly destroys everything around them. And she's definitely the most relatable one towards Steven because they're both basically children, even though she's technically thousands of years old like the rest of them. And unlike the other gems in his family, she wasn't exactly a gem that was made in the same sense that they were. She also has a bit of a traumatic backstory, and holy shit, the fact that they actually make this and they use such a very wonderful way to basically use it as an allegory for what I can only describe as depression and self-hatred is something that I didn't think any show would have the subtlety to be able to craft. But yeah, if anything this show manages to do is it's about as subtle as any show wishes it could be. It sometimes hammers it in a little bit too much, but when it wants to be subtle, it knows exactly how to do it, and it knows what metaphor to use it properly. Amethyst is a living embodiment of depression and self-hatred. Hatred for being born, hatred for being blamed for what misconduct was done by others. This is a very sad feeling that a lot of children have whenever their parents don't want anything to do with them. And I'm honestly kind of shocked that they got away with that on television. And I don't really have any way of relating to that because thankfully I came from a surprisingly good family, even though my father's nowhere to be found somewhere in Comedia fucking some woman I don't even know. But here, this is a pain that I may not relate to, but I can definitely understand. Then there's the pain that I can understand and definitely relate to, even if it's not in the same context. Let's talk about Pearl. Pearl has to be, without a doubt, one of the most unique characters that the show has written next to Garnet. I will talk about Garnet in the future, I'm sure, but Pearl is the one that had the episode that left me pretty much to the brink of crying my eyes out. I was weeping silently talking about this to myself. I just didn't know how to react to it, but there's an episode in particular in the third disc of season 1. It's called Rose's Scabbard, where we find out that not only does Steven have possession of his mother's sword because she was a crystal gem just like the rest of them, and she actually led the charge in fighting other gems to protect the Earth, but he also happens to know a little bit more information about her despite the fact that he did not know her personally. He never had the chance to grow up with her as a son, and she didn't have the chance to be with him as a mother. Unfortunately, that's another episode that had me reaching for the tissues. But the episode is basically a huge roller coaster of emotions, not just for Steven, but for Pearl. where she basically had to come to terms with the fact that the one that she loved is no longer there, and yet she is stuck there with the burden of having to take care of her son for the rest of her life until, of course, he becomes ready to become one of them. Yes, you heard me right. This series actually had the balls to declare that this character and this other character, both female, were not only surprisingly close to each other, but that this one particular character was in love romantically with the other. And how they presented that is honestly the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen in a cartoon in my entire life. Like, I was so overwhelmed with emotion, I just wanted to just lay in bed and cry all day. It was the most beautiful, sad, emotionally gut-wrenching thing I have ever seen. And the fact that they actually did this and they aired it on television for children and adults and parents to see together. This episode is probably what made me bump my rating for this series, which I didn't know what rating to give it, but then I saw this and it made me realize this is a show which has so many weird things happening around it that has something important to say. And then it just kept on going. More amazing episodes, more wonderful metaphors. Some villains get introduced by the end, some terrifying undertones, some even more terrifying overtones. And now we have season 2 to look forward to, which I have right here. But what about season 1? I've already explained everything I need to say. Season 1 is one of the greatest series I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is just the first season. Steven Universe is a beautiful emotional thrill ride that may not seem important at face value, but when you really peel it, all of its layers, you start to discover that this is a show that has a lot to say and knows exactly how to fucking say it. It is the best thing I have ever seen from Cartoon Network in a long time since Ed, Edd and Eddy. I don't have any other way of describing this, but I'm not going to give this a rating. I can give it a 9 or I can give it a 10, but then it wouldn't matter. Because to me, this is a show that shouldn't be rated. This is a show that should be served as education. Education that for all sorts of different things. It educates you on how to be true to yourself, on how to help cope with loss and trauma, how it's okay to be who you are no matter what you are, whether you're gay, whether you're gay, bisexual, from a different country, a different culture, religion. It manages to say you don't have to resort to this, you don't have to lower yourself to that. You can be whatever you want, because at the end of the day, everything is coming against you, but you're stronger than all of it. And in case any of you fans are wondering, Stronger Than You is the best song ever, no questions asked. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other songs, but fuck you, Stronger Than You is the best. I don't really have anything more to say. Steven Universe is just one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and I'll definitely be watching this series from here on out. Season 2, and definitely the rest afterwards. I just wish I could have done this sooner. I really wish I could have given this the chance that it deserved. It wasn't fair for me to do what I did, and it's not fair for me to criticize it for something that it clearly had no involvement in whatsoever. I will never forgive Adventure Time or Legend of Korra for being what they are or what they did. I will never forgive bad writing, especially when that writing affects the characters that I loved so much. But Steven Universe isn't a byproduct of any of that, despite how much I thought it was. It is something bigger. And I love this series, in case you couldn't tell. And I will talk about it more in the future. For now, though, if I have to say one more thing, it's this. I never in a million years thought that I would ever find myself feeling emotional over a goddamn gem. Or in this case, over several goddamn gems. This show made me appreciate gems in such a weird way. Also, lapis lazuli is lapis, which is Spanish for pencil. So I'm gonna continue saying lapis even if it annoys some people. I don't have anything else to say. I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and I have nothing more to say to that. I will definitely be watching the rest of the series from here on out. You better believe that. Finally. I can't believe I was finally able to do this. Man, I feel so liberated after all of this. Well, what do you think, Soren? About time. Look, I don't know how tough this might have been for you, but I'm very proud of you. I'm glad that you were somehow able to get past all of this discomfort. I know that it's been tough all these years, but, well, you took the advice. Let go of the past. Don't let that shape your future. Personally, I like Steven Universe. It's weird and kind of stupid, and honestly, the songs are all kind of terrible. But hey, that's just me. I prefer my stories not weird in the sense that they're mostly metaphor over actual story, but I don't give a shit. You do you. Yay. Well, I can't say I can't thank you for this. I mean, if it wasn't for you, none of this would be possible. So, thanks for the advice. On occasion, you really do know how to come for me. Yeah, here's the thing. That wasn't me. It wasn't? Yeah, that advice did not come from me. But then, who the hell gave me that advice then? You know exactly who gave you that advice. I'm just a manifestation of your mind. You know exactly who was it that told you that. Oh. Okay. What the hell exactly are you trying to tell me right now? I'm gonna have to learn to stop drinking Pepsi before bed. And probably stop lacing that shit with Mentos. But then, who the hell wasn't that gave me that advice? Of course. Happy birthday, Erica. This time, I'll do it myself.